The communication station on Earth's moon had been quiet for 3 days. Hyun-woo sat at his desk, watching the empty screens that usually showed signals from across the galaxy. He was drinking his 5th cup of coffee when the alarm started screaming. Red. Lights flashed everywhere. The main screen lit up with incoming data. Hyun-woo's hands moved fast across the controls, trying to understand what was happening. The signal was coming from far away, much farther than any message they had ever received. "This is strange," he said to himself. The signal was weak and broken, like someone was trying to talk through a storm. Hyun-woo worked for 2 hours to clean up the message. When he finally heard it clearly, his coffee cup fell from his hands. The voice was not human. It spoke in broken English, like someone who had learned the language from old books. The speaker sounded tired and scared. "Please, anyone who can hear this message, we need help. We are the Galactic Coalition. We represent 47 different species across this part of the galaxy. We have found your location in our old records. You are called humans. We do not know much about you, but we are desperate." Hyun-woo listened with his mouth open. He had never heard from aliens before. No human had. The voice continued. "Something terrible has awakened. We call them the Devourers. They are ancient machines from the center of the galaxy. They have been asleep for millions of years, but now they are awake and hungry." The signal got weaker for a moment, then came back. "The Devourers do not talk. They do not negotiate. They only consume. They take apart everything living and turn it into fuel for their ships. They have already destroyed the Zentari Empire. 3 billion people, gone in 2 days. The Mollusk Federation tried to fight them. Their entire fleet was turned into scrap. Metal in 6 hours. Hyun-woo was recording everything. His hands were shaking as he worked. We have lost half our worlds. The Devourers are moving toward the core systems where most of our people live. Our greatest weapons do nothing to them. Our smartest scientists cannot understand their technology. We have tried everything." The alien's voice broke a little, like it was trying not to cry. "We are sending this message to every species we know about, even ones we have never met. We found your coordinates in an old exploration database. We do not know if you can help. We do not know if you will even get this message. But we have nowhere else to turn." Static filled the speakers for several seconds. "If you can hear this, please send any help you can. Even a few ships would mean everything to us. We know we are asking strangers to die for people they have never met. But if the Devourers are not stopped, they will eventually reach every corner of the galaxy. Everyone will die." The message started to repeat. Hyun-woo sat in his chair, staring at the screen. Everything was quiet except for the hum of machines and the alien voice asking for help over and over again. He grabbed his phone and called Admiral Nari. She answered on the first ring. "Admiral, this is Hyun-woo at Luna Station. You need to hear something right now." 20 minutes later, Admiral Nari was in the communication room with her assistant, Tae-min. They listened to the message 3 times without saying a word. "How old is this signal?" Admiral Nari asked. "Based on the distance, it was sent about 2 months ago," Hyun-woo said. "It took that long to reach us." Tae-min was looking at charts on his tablet. "I found references to some of these species in our exploration databases. The Zentari Empire controlled about 50 star systems. If they are really gone, that means these Devourers destroyed 50 worlds in 2 days," Admiral Nari finished. She was quiet for a long moment. "How many species did the message mention?" 47 different ones," Hyun-woo said. Admiral Nari walked to the big window that looked out at Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful from here. She thought about 3 billion Zentari people dying in 2 days. She thought about machines that could destroy entire fleets in hours. "Ma'am," Taemin said carefully. "What are we going to do?" Admiral Nari turned around. Her face was hard and serious. "We are going to call an emergency meeting of the Security Council. Every admiral, every president, every leader of every human colony needs to hear this message." "Do you think we can help them?" Hyun-woo asked. Admiral Nari looked at the young communications officer. "Son, I do not know what these devourers are capable of. I do not know how strong they are or how many ships they have. But I know one thing for certain." She walked toward the door, then stopped. "No one commits genocide while humans are watching, not if we can do something about it." After she left, Hyun-woo played the message again. He listened to the aliens' scared voice asking for help. He thought about 47 different species facing extinction. He thought about machines that turned living beings into fuel. His computer beeped. New messages were coming in from every human colony and military base. The word was spreading fast. Emergency meetings were being called. Fleets were being recalled to Earth. Hyun-woo did not know it yet, but he had just received the message that would change everything. The aliens had asked for help. They had no idea what they were about to get. In 6 hours, every human leader in the galaxy would hear the message. In 12 hours, they would make a decision that would shock the entire galaxy. The Devourers thought they were the most dangerous thing in the universe. They were about to learn they were wrong. The last thing Hyun-woo heard before leaving his station was the alien's voice, still repeating the same message. "Please, anyone who can hear this, we need help." Help was coming, but it would not be what anyone expected. President Dae-ho had not slept in 18 hours. He sat at the head of the long table in the emergency meeting room on New Geneva Station. Around him were the most powerful humans in the galaxy, admirals, colony governors, and defense ministers from every human world. The alien message had finished playing for the 4th time. The room was completely silent. Secretary of Defense Jin A spoke first. "The signal is real. We have confirmed it came from the Andromeda sector, exactly where our star charts show the Galactic Coalition territories." "How do we know this is not some kind of trick?" asked Governor Park from the Titan colonies. Admiral Wu Jin pulled up a hologram showing space traffic data. "Because we have been watching their space for 20 years. 3 months ago, we detected massive energy signatures from that region. Entire star systems went dark. We thought it was some kind of natural disaster. Now we know it was not natural," President Dae-ho said quietly. Dr. Sung-hee, the head of xenobiology research, cleared her throat. "I have studied the language patterns in the message. The aliens' grammar and word choice suggest extreme stress and exhaustion. This is not a performance. They are genuinely terrified." Admiral Nari stood up and activated the main display. It showed a map of the galaxy with red zones marking devourer activity. "Based on the information in the message, I estimate the devourers have consumed roughly 300 star systems in the past 4 months. They are moving in a pattern that suggests they will reach the core coalition worlds within 6 weeks. "How many people are we talking about?" President Dae-ho asked. "Conservative estimate, 2 trillion sentient beings," Admiral Nari replied. The room went quiet again. Several people looked sick. Colonial Admiral Hyun-soo leaned forward. "With respect, Mr. President, this is not our problem. We have never even met these aliens. Why should human soldiers die for strangers? President Daeho looked around the table. Does anyone else feel this way? 5 hands went up slowly. Defense Minister Jin A stood up. Let me make something very clear to everyone in this room. We are not discussing whether to help some aliens with a local dispute. We are discussing whether to stand by and watch genocide happen when we have the power to stop it. But what if we cannot stop it? Governor, Park asked. What if these devourers are too strong? What if we just get our own people killed? Admiral Wu Jin activated his tablet and projected new data. I have been studying human military capacity since the message arrived. If we mobilize every ship, every weapon, every soldier in human space, we can field the largest military force in our history. How large? President Daeho asked. 12,000 warships, 4 million troops, every colony's defense fleet, every mining ship we can convert to military use. Everything. The numbers appeared on the screen. Even the people who had raised their hands looked impressed. Admiral Nari walked to the center of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I think will happen if we do nothing. These devourers will consume the entire galactic coalition. Trillions will die. Then they will keep expanding, looking for more food. Eventually, they will find us. She pointed to the star map. Human space is here. The devourers are here, moving in this direction. Even if they take 50 years to reach us, they will reach us. The only question is whether we fight them alone or with allies. President Daeho was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, Admiral Nari, in your professional opinion, can we win? Admiral Nari met his eyes. Mr. President, I do not know. These devourers have technology we do not understand. They have destroyed civilizations that were older and more advanced than us. But I know one thing that gives me hope. What is that? Every species that fought them tried to survive. We are not going to try to survive. We are going to try to win. There is a difference. Admiral Wu Jin nodded. Our entire military doctrine is based on winning, not surviving. We study how to destroy enemies, not how to outlast them. That might be the advantage we need. Dr. Sung Hee pulled up data about human psychology. There is something else. Every species in the galaxy developed space travel to explore and trade. Humans developed space travel to claim territory and resources. We are the only species that thinks in terms of total war. President Daeho stood up slowly. I want to hear from everyone. We are about to make the most important decision in human history. Governor Park, you had concerns. Governor Park looked uncomfortable. Mr. President, I still think this is incredibly dangerous. But if these machines really are expanding across the galaxy, he paused. My grandchildren live on Titan. If we wait and these devourers eventually reach human space, those children will not have a chance. One by one, every person in the room spoke. Some were scared, some were angry, some were excited. But by the end, everyone agreed on one thing. Genocide was unacceptable. President Daeho called for a vote. All in favor of full military mobilization to assist the Galactic Coalition against the Devourers? Every hand in the room went up. The motion is unanimous, President Daeho said. Secretary Jin A, I want every human military commander to receive mobilization orders within the hour. Admiral Nari, you are now Supreme Commander of all human forces. Admiral Wu Jin, begin converting civilian ships for military use. As people began to leave the room, President Daeho stopped Admiral Nari. Admiral, these aliens asked for help. What exactly are we going to give them? Admiral Nari smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just declared war on the universe. Mr. President, they asked for help. We are going to give them something much better than that. We are going to give them vengeance. Within an hour, every human colony received the same message. Total mobilization. Authorized. Prepare for war. The aliens had pleaded for help. Humanity's answer was on its way. President Day-Ho had not slept in 18 hours. He sat at the head of the long table in the emergency meeting room on New Geneva Station. Around him were the most powerful humans in the galaxy, admirals, colony governors, and defense ministers from every human world. The alien message had finished playing for the 4th time. The room was completely silent. Secretary of Defense Jin A spoke first. The signal is real. We have confirmed it came from the Andromeda sector, exactly where our star charts show the Galactic Coalition territories. How do we know this is not some kind of trick? Asked Governor Park from the Titan colonies. Admiral Wu Jin pulled up a hologram showing space traffic data. Because we have been watching their space for 20 years. 3 months ago, we detected massive energy signatures from that region. Entire star systems went dark. We thought it was some kind of natural disaster. Now we know it was not natural, President Day-Ho said quietly. Dr. Sung Hee, the head of xenobiology research, cleared her throat. I have studied the language patterns in the message. The aliens' grammar and word choice suggest extreme stress and exhaustion. This is not a performance. They are genuinely terrified. Admiral Nari stood up and activated the main display. It showed a map of the galaxy with red zones marking devourer activity. Based on the information in the message, I estimate the devourers have consumed roughly 300 star systems in the past 4 months. They are moving in a pattern that suggests they will reach the core coalition worlds within 6 weeks. How many people are we talking about? President Day-Ho asked. Conservative estimate, 2 trillion sentient beings, Admiral Nari replied. The room went quiet again. Several people looked sick. Colonial Admiral Hyun-Soo leaned forward. With respect, Mr. President, this is not our problem. We have never even met these aliens. Why should human soldiers die for strangers? President Day-Ho looked around the table. Does anyone else feel this way? 5 hands went up slowly. Defense Minister Jin A stood up. Let me make something very clear to everyone in this room. We are not discussing whether to help some aliens with a local dispute. We are discussing whether to stand by and watch genocide happen when we have the power to stop it. But what if we cannot stop it? Governor, Park asked. What if these devourers are too strong? What if we just get our own people killed? Admiral Wu Jin activated his tablet and projected new data. I have been studying human military capacity since the message arrived. If we mobilize every ship, every weapon, every soldier in human space, we can field the largest military force in our history. How large? President Day-Ho asked. 12,000 warships, 4 million troops, every colony's defense fleet, every mining ship we can convert to military use. Everything. The numbers appeared on the screen. Even the people who had raised their hands looked impressed. Admiral Nari walked to the center of the room. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what I think will happen if we do nothing. These devourers will consume the entire galactic coalition. Trillions will die. Then they will keep expanding, looking for more food. Eventually, they will find us, she pointed to the star map. Human space is here. The devourers are here, moving in this direction. Even if they take 50 years to reach us, they will reach us. The only question is whether we fight them alone. or with allies. President Deho was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, Admiral Nari, in your professional opinion, can we win? Admiral Nari met his eyes. Mr. President, I do not know. These devourers have technology we do not understand. They have destroyed civilizations that were older and more advanced than us. But I know one thing that gives me hope. What is that? Every species that fought them tried to survive. We are not going to try to survive. We are going to try to win. There is a difference. Admiral Wu Jin nodded. Our entire military doctrine is based on winning, not surviving. We study how to destroy enemies, not how to outlast them. That might be the advantage we need. Dr. Sung Hee pulled up data about human psychology. There is something else. Every species in the galaxy developed space travel to explore and trade. Humans developed space travel to claim territory and resources. We are the only species that thinks in terms of total war. President Deho stood up slowly. I want to hear from everyone. We are about to make the most important decision in human history. Governor Park, you had concerns. Governor Park looked uncomfortable. Mr. President, I still think this is incredibly dangerous. But if these machines really are expanding across the galaxy, he paused. My grandchildren live on Titan. If we wait and these devourers eventually reach human space, those children will not have a chance. One by one, every person in the room spoke. Some were scared, some were angry, some were excited. But by the end, everyone agreed on one thing. Genocide was unacceptable. President Deho called for a vote. All in favor of full military mobilization to assist the Galactic Coalition against the Devourers? Every hand in the room went up. The motion is unanimous, President Deho said. Secretary Jin A, I want every human military commander to receive mobilization orders within the hour. Admiral Nari, you are now Supreme Commander of all human forces. Admiral Wu Jin, begin converting civilian ships for military use. As people began to leave the room, President Deho stopped Admiral Nari. Admiral, these aliens asked for help. What exactly are we going to give them? Admiral Nari smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just declared war on the universe. Mr. President, they asked for help. We are going to give them something much better than that. We are going to give them vengeance. Within an hour, every human colony received the same message. Total mobilization. Authorized. Prepare for war. The aliens had pleaded for help. Humanity's answer was on its way. Captain Minho stood on the bridge of the UEF Retribution, watching the screens that showed the Volani home system. His ship was the lead vessel in humanity's first contact fleet, 200 of the most advanced warships ever built. Sir, his tactical officer Ye Jin reported, we are detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. The Devourers are here. Minho studied the data flowing across his screens. 12 massive mechanical ships, each the size of a small moon, were systematically destroying everything in the system. Smaller devourer vessels swarmed around the Volani home planet like insects. What about survivors? He asked. We are getting weak signals from the planet's surface and 3 orbital stations. Estimate 2 million Volani still alive, but the Devourers are closing in fast. Minho opened the communications channel to his fleet. All ships, this is Captain Minho. You can see what we are facing. The Volani people are dying while we watch. This ends now. Colonel Dong Su, commander of the Marine assault teams, joined him on the bridge. Captain, those Devourer ships are enormous. Our intelligence, Estimates they have been consuming entire worlds for months. They must be incredibly powerful. Minho looked at the tactical displays showing the enemy formation. The Devourers were moving slowly and methodically, like they had no fear of opposition. They had probably never faced serious resistance before. Colonel, has anyone ever told the Devourers that they cannot do this? Sir? Has anyone ever showed up with enough firepower to actually stop them? Colonel Dongsu checked the intelligence reports. According to the Alien Coalition records, most species tried to evacuate or negotiate. The few that fought back were overwhelmed within hours. Minho smiled coldly. Then they have never met humans before. Yejin, transmit our message to the Pui. Devourers on all frequencies. The communications officer looked surprised. Sir, what message? Tell them this. Unknown vessels. You are committing acts of genocide against civilian populations. Cease your operations immediately and withdraw from this system, or you will be destroyed. The bridge crew stared at him. Captain, Yejin said carefully, should we not try to understand them first? Learn about their technology or their motives? Their motives are genocide, Minho replied. Their technology will be studied after we capture it. Send the message. The message was transmitted. For 30 seconds, there was no response. Then the lead Devourer ship turned toward the human fleet. It began accelerating directly at them, while smaller vessels moved to surround the humans. Sir, the weapons officer reported, the Devourers are targeting us. They are not responding to our demand to withdraw. Then they have made their choice, Minho said. All ships weapons free. Engage at maximum range. Show these machines what happens when they threaten innocent people. The human fleet opened fire simultaneously. 200 warships unleashed everything they had. Antimatter torpedoes, particle beam cannons, and weapons the Devourers had never seen before. The effect was immediate and devastating. The first salvo of human weapons tore through 3 smaller Devourer ships like they were made of paper. Explosions lit up space as ancient machines that had destroyed civilizations began to break apart. Direct hits on multiple targets, Yejin reported with excitement. Their armor is strong, but our weapons are penetrating. The largest Devourer ship returned fire with energy beams that could have destroyed any coalition vessel. But human ships were built different. The UEF Retribution's shields absorbed the blast and kept fighting. Minimal damage to our ships, the damage control officer reported. Whatever these Devourers have been fighting, it was not equipped like us. Minho watched as his fleet tore through the Devourer formation. The enemy ships were individually powerful, but they moved like they expected easy victories. They were not prepared for opponents who fought back with equal force. Colonel Dongsu, prepare your Marines for boarding operations. I want prisoners and I want their technology. Sir, boarding hostile alien ships seems extremely dangerous. Minho pointed to the tactical display. Colonel, those machines have killed trillions of innocent people. We are going to find out how they work, and then we are going to make sure they never work again. 20 minutes later, human marine assault shuttles were cutting through the hull of a damaged Devourer ship. The Marines found something horrifying inside. Vast storage chambers filled with organic matter that had once been living beings. The Devourers really were turning people into fuel. Captain, Colonel Dongsu reported over the radio, you need to see this. These machines, they are not just killing people. They are processing them, converting biological material into energy for their ships. The discovery filled every human on the fleet with cold anger. This was not warfare. This was farming. The Devourers saw all living beings as nothing more than food to be harvested. Meanwhile, on the planet's surface, the surviving Villani were watching something they had never imagined. Ambassador Kira, who had sent the original plea for help, was broadcasting from her emergency shelter. "This is incredible," she told her people. "The humans, they are actually winning. Their ships are destroying devourer vessels that we thought were indestructible." Through her shelter windows, she could see the battle raging in space above. Human ships moved with precision and purpose, coordinating their attacks like they had been fighting this war for years instead of hours. "The humans are not running," she continued her broadcast. "They are not trying to evacuate us. They are standing and fighting. They came here to win." Captain Minho received a communication from the planet's surface. Ambassador Kira's voice came through the speakers, speaking in broken but understandable English. "Human ships. This is Ambassador Kira of the Villani people. We cannot believe what we are seeing. You are actually defeating them." Minho responded personally. "Ambassador Kira, this is Captain Minho of the human fleet. You asked for help. We came to give it to you." "But how?" "The Devourers have destroyed 47 different species. They have technology from the Galactic Center. They are ancient and powerful." Minho looked at the tactical display showing the remaining Devourer ships retreating to the edge of the system. "Ambassador, the Devourers may be ancient and powerful, but they made one critical mistake." "What mistake?" "They never learned how to fight someone who refuses to lose." The battle was ending. Of the 12 massive Devourer ships that had entered the system, 8 were destroyed and 3 were captured. Only one escaped, heavily damaged and running for its life. "All ships, secure the area," Minho ordered. "Begin rescue operations for Villani survivors. Medical teams to the planet's surface immediately." As human ships moved to help the survivors, Ambassador Kira asked the question that every alien in the galaxy would soon be asking. "Captain Minho, what happens now?" Minho looked at the star charts showing Devourer positions across the galaxy. Millions of enemy ships. Thousands of occupied systems. Trillions of people still in danger. "Now, Ambassador, we hunt down every single Devourer in the galaxy, and we destroy them all. Every ship, every base, every machine. We do not stop until this threat is completely eliminated." "But there are so many of them." "There are more of us," Minho replied. "And unlike the Devourers, we do not fight alone. We fight for everyone they have hurt, and everyone they plan to hurt." The first battle was over. Humanity had won. But it was just the beginning. 3 weeks after the battle at the Villani homeworld, the human war machine was learning everything it could about the enemy. Commander Sung Min sat in his underground facility on Mars, surrounded by screens showing Devourer technology that his teams had captured. "The good news," he told Admiral Nari over the secure video link, "is that we can reverse engineer their weapons. The bad news is that they are more advanced than we thought." Admiral Nari was aboard her flagship, coordinating attacks across 12 different star systems. "How much more advanced?" "Their energy production systems are about 200 years ahead of ours. Their hull armor uses materials we are just beginning to understand. But Seung Min, they have a critical weakness." "Tell me." Seung Min pulled up tactical analysis data. "They do not adapt quickly. Every Devourer ship we have fought uses the same attack patterns, the same defensive strategies. They are like a computer program that cannot learn new tricks." This was exactly what Admiral Nari wanted to hear. "Can we exploit this?" "We already are. Watch this." The screen showed battle footage from yesterday's engagement at the Centauri Belt. Human ships had used a new tactic, fake retreat followed by coordinated ambush. The Devourers fell for it completely, following the human ships into a trap where they were destroyed by hidden missile platforms. They never adjusted their pursuit pattern, Seungmin explained. Even after we used this tactic 3 times, they kept falling for it. Meanwhile, Special Operations Leader Ji-won was conducting her own kind of research. Her teams were infiltrating Devourer facilities on captured worlds, studying how the machines operated from the inside. "We have learned something important," she reported to the command staff. "The Devourers are not really intelligent. They are more like incredibly sophisticated insects. They follow programming, not strategy." She activated a hologram showing the interior of a Devourer processing facility. "Look at this. They convert organic matter into energy using the same process every time, regardless of what kind of life form they are processing. They never adjust for efficiency or different biological types." Xenoarchaeology. Expert Tae Young had been studying Devourer history using data recovered from their computer systems. What he found changed everything. "Admiral," he said during the morning briefing, "the Devourers are not invaders. They are a cleanup crew." The command staff looked confused. "Explain," Admiral Nari demanded. Tae Young displayed ancient star charts, recovered from Devourer memory banks. "Millions of years ago, there was a galactic civilization at the center of the galaxy. When that civilization collapsed, they built the Devourers to clean up the mess. The machines were programmed to consume all biological matter and process it into useful materials." "So they are following their original programming?" "Exactly. But that programming has a fatal flaw. The Devourers were designed to work in a galaxy with no intelligent life. They cannot distinguish between dangerous biological contamination and living civilizations. This discovery changed human strategy completely. The Devourers were not evil conquerors. They were broken tools doing exactly what they were programmed to do millions of years ago." Admiral Nari called an emergency meeting with all fleet commanders. "Ladies and gentlemen, we now understand our enemy. The Devourers are not trying to rule the galaxy. They are trying to sterilize it. This means they will never stop, never negotiate, and never surrender." Fleet Admiral Sun Woo raised his hand. "Admiral, does this change our mission?" "It makes our mission simpler," Admiral Nari replied. "We do not need to defeat an enemy empire. We need to shut down a malfunctioning machine. Every Devourer ship, every processing facility, every repair station must be completely destroyed." Commander Seungmin had more good news. "We have finished analyzing their communication systems. The Devourers share information through a network that connects all their ships. If we can hack into that network, we can track every Devourer in the galaxy," Admiral Nari finished. "Do it." Within days, human intelligence officers were monitoring Devourer communications across the galaxy. They discovered something shocking. There were over 50,000 Devourer ships spread across thousands of star systems. But they also discovered something useful. "The Devourers are predictable," Intelligence Officer Young Sik reported. "They always attack the most populated worlds first. They always establish processing facilities in the same type of locations. They always follow the same expansion patterns." "Which means we can predict where they will go next," Admiral Nari said. Human fleets began using this knowledge to set traps. Instead of chasing Devourer ships, they would arrive at target systems first and wait in ambush. The results were devastating for the enemy. At the Battle of Kepler Station, Captain Yunji commanded a force of 30 human ships against a Devourer fleet twice that size. Using predictive tactics, her ships were in perfect position when the enemy arrived. The Devourers came out of hyperspace exactly where our computers said they would, she reported after the battle. They moved into our kill zone like they were following a script. We destroyed 47 enemy ships and lost only 2 of our own. But humans were not just fighting smarter. They were fighting harder than any species the Devourers had ever encountered. Marine Colonel Jae Hyun led boarding operations against Devourer ships with a ferocity that surprised even him. These machines processed millions of innocent people into fuel, he told his troops before each mission. We are going to take apart every single one of them, piece by piece. Human Marines began specializing in close combat operations inside Devourer ships. They developed new weapons and tactics specifically for fighting in the cramped mechanical corridors of enemy vessels. The Devourers are not designed for internal defense, Colonel Jae Hyun discovered. They never expected anyone to board their ships and fight them from the inside. Meanwhile, human engineers were making Devourer technology work for them. Chief Engineer Hae-won had teams working around the clock to convert captured enemy weapons for human use. Their energy cannons are more powerful than anything we had before, she reported, but we have made them better. Human fire control systems are far superior to theirs. We can target and destroy enemy ships from much greater distances. Human ships began appearing in battle with hybrid technology. Human engineering combined with Devourer power systems. The result was warships more powerful than anything either species had built alone. But the most important advantage humans had was something the Devourers could never understand: motivation. The Devourers fight because they are programmed to fight, Admiral Nari explained to her officers. We fight because we choose to fight. Every human in this war knows exactly why we are here and what we are fighting for. This difference showed in every battle. Human crews fought with creativity and determination that the Devourers could not match. When human ships were damaged, the crews found ways to keep fighting. When human positions were overrun, the defenders fought to the last person. The Devourers began to experience something they had never encountered in millions of years: consistent defeat. Their programming did not include procedures for prolonged resistance or tactical adaptation. The enemy is starting to make mistakes, Admiral Nari observed during a strategy meeting. They are sending ships to battles they cannot win. They are wasting resources on targets that do not matter. Their entire system is breaking down. Commander Seung-min had been monitoring Devourer communications and found evidence of something unprecedented. Admiral, I think the Devourer network is developing errors. Their ships are receiving conflicting orders. Some units are attacking targets that other units have already destroyed. Their programming is failing. I think the stress of continuous defeat is causing system-wide malfunctions. The Devourers were never designed to lose battles. They do not know how to adapt. Admiral Nari smiled. It was the first genuinely happy expression she had shown since the war began. Gentlemen, ladies, we are witnessing something historic. We are watching a galactic threat destroy itself simply because it has never learned how to fight a war instead of conducting an extermination. The tide of the war was turning. Human fleets were winning battles across the galaxy. Devourer occupied. Worlds were being liberated. The machines that had terrorized 47 species were learning what happened when they faced a species that specialized in warfare. The Devourers had awakened expecting to process a galaxy full of defenseless prey. Instead, they had awakened predators more dangerous than themselves. Admiral Sun Wu stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the liberation of the Altair system. For the past 4 months, human fleets had been pushing the Devourers back across the galaxy. What had started as a desperate rescue mission had become something much larger. A systematic hunt. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the last Devourer processing facility has been destroyed. The system is clear." Sun Wu nodded, but he was not celebrating. Through the main view screen, he could see the planet below. Once it had been home to 30 million people of a species called the Korthani. Now it was a wasteland covered with empty Devourer extraction machines. "Any survivors?" he asked. "Negative, sir. The orbital scans show no life signs anywhere on the planet." This was the reality that drove every human in the fleet. They were not just fighting to win a war. They were fighting to prevent scenes like this from happening anywhere else. Commander Yun-ji, who led the liberation forces, joined him on the bridge. "Admiral, we have confirmed intelligence about Devourer movements in the next sector. They are evacuating 12 systems and consolidating their forces." "Evacuating?" Sun Wu looked surprised. "The Devourers have never retreated from anything." According to Intelligence Officer Young-sik, their programming is adapting. They are finally learning that they cannot defeat us in open battle. This was not good news. The Devourers were becoming unpredictable, which made them more dangerous. "What does intelligence think they are planning?" Commander Yunji activated a star map showing Devourer positions. "They are pulling back to heavily fortified systems with multiple processing facilities. Young-sik thinks they are planning to make us pay a heavy price for every world we liberate." Sun Wu studied the tactical situation. "Show me the target." Systems. The map highlighted 12 star systems in the galactic inner rim. Each one contained multiple worlds that the Devourers had been processing for months. The enemy had built massive defensive stations and manufacturing complexes throughout each system. "How many ships do they have defending these positions?" Conservative estimate, 8,000 Devourer vessels, plus planetary defense systems, and automated weapon platforms. Sun Wu was quiet for a moment. The human fleets had achieved incredible victories, but this would be different. The Devourers were no longer scattered across the galaxy where they could be defeated piecemeal. They were concentrating their forces for a final stand. "Contact Admiral Nari," he ordered. "We need to coordinate a full-scale offensive." 3 days later, every human fleet commander gathered for a virtual strategy meeting. Admiral Nari's hologram appeared on screens across 50 different ships. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "our intelligence indicates that the Devourers are making their last stand in 12 heavily defended systems. This is our opportunity to end this war decisively." Fleet. Admiral Hyung-soo raised a concern. "Admiral, if we attack fortified positions, our casualties will be significant. Are we prepared for that level of losses?" Admiral Nari's expression hardened. "Admiral, in the past 6 months, the Devourers have processed approximately 400 billion sentient beings into fuel. Every day we delay this offensive, millions more die. Yes, we will accept casualties to stop that." Captain Min-jae, who had been leading deep reconnaissance missions, provided additional intelligence. "The Devourer defensive positions are formidable, but they have a weakness. Their installations are designed to process organic matter, not to fight military campaigns. Most of their defensive weapons are converted processing equipment." "Meaning?" "What exactly?" Admiral Sun Wu asked. "Meaning they are powerful, but inflexible. They cannot adjust their defensive patterns quickly. If we can penetrate their outer defenses, the inner systems will be vulnerable. Admiral Nari outlined the battle plan. We will attack all 12 systems simultaneously. The Devourers will not be able to reinforce each other. Each fleet will be responsible for completely destroying all enemy installations in their assigned sector. The scale of the operation was unprecedented. Every human warship would participate. Every Marine, every pilot, every engineer. This would be the largest military operation in human history. Colonel Dong Su, who commanded the assault troops, had a question. Admiral, what about prisoners? Should we attempt to capture Devourer technology? Colonel, there will be no prisoners. No captured technology. No negotiations. We are going to destroy every Devourer installation so completely that nothing remains. This threat ends here. Intelligence Officer Young Sik provided final updates on enemy capabilities. The Devourers have been modifying their programming to counter our tactics. They are learning to fight more like us, but they still have critical limitations, such as they cannot innovate during battle. Once they commit to a defensive strategy, they cannot change it. If we can force them to make mistakes early in each engagement, they will not be able to recover. Fleet preparation took 2 weeks. Human ships were loaded with every weapon humanity had developed. New ammunition types, experimental energy cannons, and the most powerful antimatter weapons ever built. Engineer So Hee oversaw the final weapons loading on Admiral Sun Woo's flagship. Sir, we have equipped every ship with the new quantum disruption torpedoes. These weapons can destabilize the molecular structure of Devourer armor. How effective are they? In testing, one torpedo completely destroyed a captured Devourer cruiser. The ship simply came apart at the atomic level. Sun Woo thought about the moral implications of such weapons. Then he thought about 400 billion processed victims, and his doubts disappeared. The offensive began with simultaneous attacks. Across 12 star systems, human fleets emerged from hyperspace in perfect coordination, catching the Devourers in the middle of their defensive preparations. At the Battle of Vega Prime, Admiral Sun Woo's fleet faced the largest concentration of enemy ships. 3,000. Devourer vessels were arranged in defensive formations around a massive processing complex that had consumed 2 entire planets. All ships, weapons free, Sun Woo ordered. Primary targets are the processing facilities. Secondary targets are enemy ships. Nothing leaves this system operational. The human attack was unlike anything the Devourers had prepared for. Instead of trying to capture strategic positions, the humans simply destroyed everything. Quantum disruption torpedoes tore through Devourer ships like they were made of paper. Antimatter cascade weapons turned enemy stations into expanding clouds of plasma. Sir, his weapons officer reported, the enemy is attempting to retreat to the inner system. Pursue and destroy, Sun Woo replied without hesitation. No survivors. In system after system, the same scene played out. Human fleets overwhelmed Devourer defenses with firepower and tactics the enemy could not counter. The machines that had processed trillions of lives were being systematically eliminated. Captain Sung Ho led bombing runs against Devourer ground installations on the planet Kepler 442b. Target the processing centers first, he ordered his squadron. Then the manufacturing facilities. Leave nothing functional. His pilots reported back as they completed their missions. Processing Center Alpha destroyed. Processing Center Beta destroyed. All manufacturing complexes eliminated. But the most important part of the offensive was not the destruction of Devourer forces. It was the liberation of survivors. Major Hye-Rin commanded rescue operations on worlds where some populations had survived in hiding. "We have located survivor enclaves on 7 different worlds," she reported. "Total rescued. Approximately 50 million beings from 12 different species." The rescued aliens could barely comprehend what they were seeing. Species that had been hiding in caves and underground shelters for months emerged to find human soldiers destroying their oppressors with ruthless efficiency. Ambassador Kira, who had sent the original message asking for help, was among the rescued survivors on the planet Altair 7. "The humans," she told her people over emergency broadcasts, "they are not just defeating the Devourers. They are exterminating them, Captain." Minho, who had led the first human contact mission, found her in a refugee camp his Marines had established. "Ambassador, you are safe now. All Devourer forces in this system have been eliminated." "Captain," she asked, "what happens to the Devourers that remain in other systems?" Minho looked at the tactical reports coming in from across the galaxy. Human fleets were winning in every engagement. Devourer forces were being systematically destroyed. "Ambassador, there will be no Devourers remaining in other systems. We are hunting down every single one." The counter-offensive lasted 6 weeks. When it was over, the Devourers had lost 90% of their forces. The machines that had threatened to consume the entire galaxy were reduced to scattered remnants hiding in the darkest corners of space. But Admiral Nari was not satisfied with a 90% victory. She gathered her fleet commanders for one final meeting. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have broken the Devourer threat, but our mission is not complete. As long as even one Devourer ship remains operational, the danger continues." Admiral Sunwoo understood what she was saying. "You want to hunt down the survivors. I want to hunt down every single Devourer in the galaxy and destroy them all. This threat ends completely, or it does not end at all." The counter-offensive was over. The hunt was just beginning. Commander J1 stood before the massive viewing screen on his command ship, staring at something that should not exist. At the center of the galaxy, where the ancient maps said there should be a black hole, was a structure so large it defied comprehension. "Sir," his science officer reported, "the Devourer stronghold is confirmed to be a Dyson sphere. It has completely enclosed the galactic core star. The structure is drawing power directly from the star itself." J1 had been hunting Devourer survivors for 3 months. Every destroyed ship, every captured facility had pointed to this location. The last remnants of the Devourer fleet had retreated here to their ultimate stronghold. "How large is it?" he asked. "Diameter. Approximately 200 million kilometers. That is larger than Earth's orbit around the Sun. Conservative estimates suggest it contains the processed remains of over 1,000 star systems. The numbers were almost impossible to understand. This was not just a military base. It was a monument to genocide on a galactic scale. Fleet Admiral Nari's hologram appeared on the bridge. "Commander J1, what is your tactical assessment?" "Admiral, this is unlike anything we have encountered. The sphere is defended by approximately 10,000 Devourer ships, plus planetary-scale weapon systems built into the structure itself. But that is not the real problem." "Explain." J1 activated the detailed scans. "The sphere contains the processing facilities for everything the Devourers have consumed over millions of years. According to our analysis, there are still billions of sentient beings inside, being processed into energy." Admiral Nari was quiet for a long moment. "You are telling me that people are still alive in there?" "Barely alive, Admiral. The Devourer processing system keeps biological matter in a suspended state while it slowly converts it to energy. The process takes years to complete. This changed everything. The human fleet had come to destroy the last Devourer stronghold. Now they discovered it was also the largest prison camp in galactic history. Diplomatic liaison Mi Young, who had been coordinating with the alien coalition species, brought even more complications. Admiral, the Coalition Council is begging us to negotiate with the Devourers. They believe this facility is too valuable to destroy. Valuable how? Admiral Nari asked. The technology inside that sphere could revolutionize galactic civilization. Energy production, materials processing, maybe even biological restoration techniques. The Coalition scientists think we could save some of the victims and learn how to reverse the processing. Admiral Nari's expression grew cold. And what do the Coalition leaders suggest we do? Leave the Devourers in control of their victims while we negotiate? Mi Young looked uncomfortable. They are asking for time to study options. Maybe a partial assault that captures key sections without destroying the whole structure. Put me through to the Coalition Council, Admiral Nari ordered. A few minutes later, the bridge filled with holographic images of alien leaders from across the galaxy. Dozens of different species, all looking desperate and hopeful. Admiral Nari spoke Elder Corvash of the Zentari survivors. We understand your desire to destroy this facility, but consider what could be learned from it. Consider who might still be saved. Admiral Nari looked at each of the alien leaders. How many of your people are inside that sphere? Billions, Elder Corvash admitted. From my species alone, perhaps. 200 million are still being processed. Ambassador Kira from the Villani stepped forward. Admiral, you saved my people. You saved all of us. We are asking you to try to save them too. Fleet Admiral Chang Ho, who commanded the siege forces, provided military analysis. Admiral, a precision assault would be extremely costly. We estimate 70% casualties for our forces, and there is no guarantee we could capture the processing systems intact. Admiral Nari studied the tactical displays showing the massive sphere and its defenses. 10,000 enemy ships, weapon systems powerful enough to destroy entire fleets, and somewhere inside, billions of victims who had been waiting for rescue for years or decades. Mi Young, she said finally, transmit a message to the Devourer. Command structure. Tell them we want to negotiate. The alien leaders looked relieved. But Commander Jaewon knew Admiral Nari better than that. Admiral, what kind of negotiation? The simple kind, Admiral Nari replied. We offer them one chance to release all prisoners and surrender the facility intact. If they refuse, we destroy everything. Admiral, Elder Corvash protested, that is not negotiation. That is an ultimatum. Elder Corvash, these machines have spent millions of years committing genocide. They do not deserve negotiation. They deserve one opportunity to avoid complete destruction, and only because innocent people are trapped with them. The message was transmitted to the Devourer sphere. The response came back within an hour. It was not words, but actions. The Devourers opened fire on the human fleet with every weapon they had. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Commander Jaewon ordered, as energy beams powerful enough to crack moons began targeting his vessels. Return fire, maximum intensity. The battle for the galactic core had begun. Human ships fought with desperate fury against an enemy that had literally nothing left to lose. The Devourers threw everything they had at the human fleet. Ships that should have been scrapped long ago, experimental weapons, even ramming attacks. Sir, reported the tactical Officer, enemy casualties are mounting, but they are fighting like they do not care about survival. Because they do not, Commander J1 realized. This is their final stand. They know that if they lose here, they are extinct. Admiral Nari coordinated the attack from her flagship at the edge of the battle zone. Status report from all sectors. Fleet. Admiral Chang Ho responded from the thick of the fighting. Heavy resistance, but we are breaking through their outer defenses. Estimated time to reach the sphere surface, 6 hours. Casualties? Within acceptable parameters, the enemy is fighting hard, but they are still using the same predictable tactics. But as human ships got closer to the sphere, they discovered something horrifying. The Devourers were not just defending their stronghold, they were accelerating the processing of their prisoners. Admiral, reported Intelligence Officer Young Sik, we are detecting massive energy spikes from inside the sphere. They are processing their remaining prisoners at maximum speed. They are destroying the evidence, Admiral Nari said grimly. How long until all prisoners are processed? At current rates, approximately 8 hours. Admiral Nari made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. All ships. Emergency acceleration. We assault the sphere immediately, regardless of our own casualties. The attack became a desperate race against time. Human ships crashed through Devourer defenses, taking terrible losses to reach the sphere before the prisoners could be processed. Marine Colonel Myung-soo led the boarding operations against the sphere's surface installations. We are detecting massive processing centers throughout the structure, billions of life signs, but they are fading fast. Can you shut down the processing systems? We are trying, sir, but the systems are automated and protected. The Devourers designed them to be tamper-proof. Commander Jae-won realized there was only one solution. Colonel, can you identify the primary power systems for the processing centers? Yes, sir. But they are connected to the main power grid. If we destroy them, we destroy everything. Including the prisoners? Yes, sir. But if we do not destroy them, the processing will continue anyway. Commander Jae-won looked at the tactical displays showing the desperate battle raging throughout the sphere. Human Marines were fighting room by room against Devourer defenders, while billions of innocent people died in processing chambers. Admiral Nari, he called, requesting permission to destroy the primary power systems. Admiral Nari understood what he was asking. Destroying the power systems would end the processing, but it would also kill everyone still alive in the chambers. Commander, is there any way to save them? No, Admiral. The processing has gone too far. Even if we could shut down the systems safely, the prisoners would not survive removal from the chambers. Admiral Nari closed her eyes. When she opened them, her voice was steady but filled with pain. Permission granted. End their suffering. The explosions that destroyed the sphere's power systems lit up the galactic core like a new star. When the light faded, the massive Dyson sphere was dark and dead. The Devourers were extinct. The processing had stopped, but there were no survivors to rescue. Commander Jae-won stood in the silent command center of his ship, looking at the dead sphere. Admiral, mission complete. All Devourer forces eliminated. All processing facilities destroyed. Casualties? Total. 43 ships lost, 8,000 personnel. The Devourers. 200 million prisoners who could not be saved. The victory was absolute. The Devourers were extinct. The galaxy was safe. But the cost had been higher than anyone wanted to pay. Ambassador Kira's voice came over the communications system. Admiral Nari, on behalf of all the coalition species, We thank you for ending this threat, but the people who died in that sphere, they died free, Admiral Nari replied. The Devourers can never hurt them again. Sometimes that is the only victory possible. The war was over. But the memory of the final battle would stay with every human who fought there. They had saved the galaxy by destroying it. 6 months after the destruction of the Devourer sphere, Coordinator In Su stood in the rebuilt council chamber on the planet New Volani. Around him sat representatives from 38 different species, the survivors of what had once been a galaxy of 47 civilizations. The chamber was quiet as Ambassador Hyrin of Earth presented humanity's final report to the Galactic Coalition. The threat has been eliminated, she said simply. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected no Devourer activity anywhere in the galaxy. All known installations have been destroyed. All ships have been accounted for. Elder Corvash of the Zentari raised a question that everyone was thinking. Ambassador, what does humanity want in return for saving our civilizations? Ambassador Hyerin looked surprised by the question. Want in return? We do not understand. Territory, Elder Corvash explained. Resources, trade agreements, political influence. You have the most powerful military force in galactic history. You could demand anything. We want nothing, Ambassador. Hyerin replied. We helped because you asked for help. The threat is eliminated. Our job is finished. The alien representatives looked confused. This was not how galactic politics normally worked. Species that won wars typically demanded concessions from those they had saved. Ambassador Kira stood up slowly. Ambassador Hyerin, may I ask why? Humans fought this war? Because genocide is unacceptable, Ambassador Hyerin answered without hesitation. We could not allow an entire galaxy to be processed into fuel. The idea was offensive to us. But you lost thousands of your own people, pointed out Counselor Thresh of the Mollusk Federation. Your economy was disrupted, your resources were depleted, and you gained nothing. Ambassador Hyerin considered this. Counselor Thresh, we gained the knowledge that trillions of innocent people are alive today who would otherwise be dead. We gained the satisfaction of eliminating a threat to all sentient life. How is that nothing? Commander Myung-ho, who had been placed in charge of the new Deep Space Watch program, provided updates on galactic security. We have established monitoring stations in 40 key systems throughout the galaxy. These stations are equipped to detect any resurgence of Devourer, technology, or similar threats. Will these stations be under human control? Asked Minister Vex of the Aquatic Collective. No, Commander Myung-ho replied. They will be operated jointly by all coalition species. Humans will provide technical support and training, but governance will be shared. This surprised everyone. Humans were offering to share control of the most powerful defense network in galactic history. Why would you give up control of such strategic assets? Elder Corvash asked. Commander Myung-ho looked at the assembled aliens with something like pity. Because we do not want to control the galaxy. We want the galaxy to be able to defend itself. Admiral Nari, attending the meeting via hologram from Earth, addressed the deeper concerns. Ladies, gentlemen, beings of the Coalition, let me be very clear about humanity's position. We fought this war because it was necessary. We won this war because we were prepared. But we do not want to rule anyone. Then what do you want? Ambassador, Kira asked. We want to go home, Admiral Nari said simply. We want to return to our own space and continue our own development. We want to know that if another threat like the Devourers emerges, the galaxy will be ready to face it. Post-war reconstruction coordinator In Su had been working with alien governments for months, helping them rebuild their civilizations. What he had learned about galactic politics disturbed him. "Admiral," he reported privately to Admiral Nari, "most of these species have never fought a real war. They have conflicts and disagreements, but nothing like what we just experienced. They do not understand military necessity or strategic thinking." "Is that a problem?" Admiral Nari asked. "It could be. They keep asking us to mediate their disputes, to enforce peace agreements, to provide military support for various causes. They want us to become galactic police." Admiral Nari's expression hardened. "Absolutely not. We did not eliminate the Devourers just to become their replacement." This decision created tension with some coalition members. Several species had ongoing territorial disputes or resource conflicts that they wanted humanity to resolve through military force. "The humans have the power to end these conflicts permanently," argued Senator Korvik of the hegemony states. "Why will they not help us achieve lasting peace?" Ambassador Hyrin addressed the Coalition Council directly on this issue. "Senator Korvik, the conflicts between your species existed before the Devourers and will exist after them. These are political problems that require political solutions." "But you could force solutions," Senator Korvik insisted. "Your military could impose peace." "Yes, we could," Ambassador Hyrin admitted. "But peace imposed by force is not real peace. It is just delayed conflict. You must solve your own problems." Not all species accepted this position. The hegemony states and the Trade Federation began forming a military alliance, hoping to fill the power vacuum they believed humanity was leaving. Intelligence Officer Young Sik reported these developments to the human leadership. "Admiral, some coalition members are militarizing rapidly. They seem to think they need to prepare for conflicts with each other." "Are they preparing to threaten human space?" Admiral Nari asked. "No, Admiral. They are too smart for that. But they are definitely preparing to threaten each other." This was exactly what Admiral Nari had feared. "Young Sik, what is your assessment of their military capabilities?" "Minimal, Admiral. Even working together, they could not field a force equivalent to a single human battle group, but they could cause significant casualties among themselves." Admiral Nari made a decision that would define humanity's role in the galaxy for generations to come. "Send a message to all coalition species. Tell them that humanity maintains defensive monitoring capabilities throughout the galaxy. Tell them we will not interfere in local conflicts, but we will not tolerate another genocide." The message was clear. Humans would not rule the galaxy, but they would watch it. Some species found this threatening, others found it reassuring. All of them understood that the balance of power had fundamentally changed. Elder Korvash approached Ambassador Hyrin after the final coalition meeting. "Ambassador, may I ask you a personal question?" "Of course, Elder." "Do humans regret fighting this war? Do you regret the costs?" Ambassador Hyrin thought about the thousands of human soldiers who had died, the ships destroyed, the resources expended, the trauma experienced by everyone who fought. "Elder Korvash, we regret that the war was necessary. We regret that we could not save everyone. But we do not regret fighting it." "Even though you gained nothing?" Ambassador Hyrin smiled sadly. "Elder, we gained the most important thing possible. We gained the knowledge that when innocent people are threatened with extinction, someone will fight for them." As the coalition meeting ended and representatives returned to their rebuilt worlds, Commander Myung-ho activated the Deep Space Watch network. 40 monitoring stations came online simultaneously, their sensors scanning every corner of the galaxy for signs of new threats. "Network operational," he reported to Earth. "All stations reporting nominal status. The galaxy is secure. Admiral." Nari reviewed the final reports from the war. Total Devourer forces eliminated, estimated 100,000 ships and installations. Total human casualties, 11,000 personnel. Total coalition casualties, unknown, but estimated in the trillions. "Admiral," her aide asked, "what happens now?" Admiral Nari looked at the star charts showing human space, peaceful and secure. "Now we go home. We maintain our vigilance, and we hope the galaxy has learned what we have learned." "Which is what, Admiral?" "That some threats require absolute responses, that some evils cannot be negotiated with or contained, and that sometimes the only way to save innocent lives is to completely destroy those who would take them." The human fleets began their journey home. The monitoring stations continued their watch. The galaxy slowly returned to normal, or something like normal. But everyone knew that something fundamental had changed. The Devourers were gone, but the memory of their defeat remained. The galaxy had learned that there were those who would fight against genocide with total commitment. The aliens had pleaded for help. Humanity had answered with total war. And when the war was over, humanity had asked for nothing except the chance to go home. The galaxy would remember this. When future threats emerged, when new dangers appeared, the survivors would remember what happened when someone called for help and humanity answered. They would remember that some species fight to survive. But humans fight to win, and sometimes that makes all the difference.